there. So good to have you here with us for this episode of 2 Minute Moves TV, where you'll discover the little things that you can do that make a big difference to the way that you feel and live your life. I'm Lizzie Williamson, and next to me is someone who for many years has been changing the dialogue around motherhood, helping us bust through the guilt, shame, expectations and perfectionism that so often comes with it, and instead helping us to really find that kindness, compassion and connection to ourselves. She is the founder of Happy Mama, which is an online magazine, podcast, programs, events, coaching, and even this beautiful must-read book with the same name, Happy Mama. I can't wait for you to hear the well of wisdom that this woman has for all us mamas out there. Amy Taylor-Kabbaz. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
All very, very true. So you know, I know, you probably know as well that exercise, mindfulness, meditation, good food, self-care, all of those things are so good for us. We need to be doing them, right? And yet so many of us find it really, really hard to make it part of our life, a sustainable thing. So I'm really interested to hear from you, Amy, about maybe a time in your life that you've really struggled in that area of self-care, what was happening then, what was getting in your way, what you discovered, and also the little things that you do now that you know make a big difference to the way that you feel. And maybe even at the end you could do one of those for us. You could share one. So I know that you do have a story that's led you to where you are now. Can you share a bit of that story? What was going on when you weren't this mindful, happy mama that you are most of the time now?
I'm a slow learner. It took me a long time to get to this point. And I think a lot of us have these sort of mini awakenings, mini signs of, gee, maybe we're not getting this balance right. Maybe we need to look after ourselves differently. It took me a long time to learn this lesson. It first started for me when I had my first child, who's now 10. I was a very busy, ambitious journalist for the ABC, working breakfast radio shifts, so up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, and had this huge goal of I'm going to be a foreign correspondent. That was the goal. That was where I was headed. And motherhood came along and I was so excited. I wanted to be a mother, but I assumed it would just be in this neat little compartment over here and I'd still be able to do everything that I had thought I could do in my life. And of course I didn't. I got very sick with a thyroid disease not long after my first child was born, which was my first sign that perhaps my lifestyle wasn't working for me. I never prioritized sleep. I didn't eat very well at all. I lived on white pasta, I have to be honest. I loved my wine, and it was just this really busy, ambitious life, and the baby fit in as much as it could, but I just kept on going. Took the thyroid medication and went, great, okay, I'm just going to keep on going. And then had a second baby, a few more signs that maybe things weren't right, but kept on going. Then surprisingly fell pregnant for the third time. It's like the universe said, she still hasn't got this lesson. We've told her and she hasn't listened. So maybe we'll throw in one more baby and see what happens. Well, that was my breaking point. By the time I was pregnant with him, I was producing the leading breakfast program here in Sydney and was up at 3:30 every day, 5 days a week. And I was doing, Lizzie, what I thought was the right thing to do. Ironically, I had a blog at the time about self-care for mothers.
Oh, wow.
Ironically, that's what I wrote about. And so I approached this, and I think this is a really interesting thing for us to talk about. I approached it like a to-do list that I needed to tick off, and therefore I was a good person, a good mother, and a good, health person, whatever. I don't even know what I thought I was trying to chase. But I went to yoga 2-3 times a week, and I did the different things that I had read in magazines that I should be doing. And so I thought I was doing everything right, but actually inside I just never took a breath. I never actually stopped. I never sat down. Like I rushed to yoga, did the intense yoga class, the 1 hour power one, sweat, great, took that off the list, sweated today, went home, wrote my blog, picked up my kids, did the dinner, and I literally burnt myself out.
Okay.
To the point where when I was 28 weeks pregnant with my third, it was the middle of the federal election and it was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I remember a press release came through for the story we were doing on air, and I had to run it into the studio. And I remember putting my hands on my belly and saying to my little boy, we knew it was a boy, hang on buddy, we've got to run. And so I'm 28 weeks pregnant at 7 in the morning or something, and just running in, like that was my life. I just ran everywhere all the time because I thought that's what I needed to do to be successful. And 3 hours later, I was in early labour.
Wow.
And it was pretty scary. It was 3-minute contractions and the room was full with all of these specialists saying this is not good news, he's far too small, having steroid injections and all of this stuff to try and keep him in there, which they managed to do. I'm so grateful. But once things calmed down, the doctors were very, very clear with me. There is no medical reason for this to be happening. This is your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You can't go to work. You have to sit on the couch for for as long as you can to keep him in. And I'm ashamed to say, not ashamed, I am amazed at myself, at who I was then, to say that my first words out of my mouth was, but it's a federal election, they need me at work. Mm-hmm. I can't not work. That's just who I was.
The country needs you.
They can't do it without me. But I laugh at it now, but actually I have seen this so that baby we got to 38 weeks. Mm-hmm. I literally couldn't leave the couch. If I got up and walked to the shops, the contractions would start. So for 10 weeks I sat on the couch, and I realised I needed to change my life. So I started to learn meditation, looked at my mindset and my energy, and in my usual overachieving way, consumed all the information about this that I could. Why was I so addicted to being busy? And that's where all the changes began. But since then, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of women, and whether it's your career or the way your house looks, mm-hmm. or the way your body looks, or the way you feel you need to be in your school community or whatever. So many of us have this pressure we're putting on ourselves to keep on going, to just not listen to what our body is saying, to not honour that in any way. The washing is more important than sitting down and having a meal. Scrolling through Instagram is more important than just stopping and breathing and looking out of the window. We've just got all of our priorities around the wrong way.
Why do you think?
I think it's because society expects us to be perfect. Mm. I really do. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I'm not sure if anyone here saw it, but did you see the 60 Minutes report last night?
No.
On the rate? So we're going off on a tangent here, but which I tend to do when when I have the platform. No, what I was going to say was that they had this story last night about the rate of mothers in Australia who are drinking.
Right.
That is just going up and up and up, and the rate of women there catching, I guess, during the day with the kids in the car that are over the limit, because then they have some great evidence in there and whatever, just saying that the pressure on us mothers in this generation is out of control. We're expected to work like a man, mother like a goddess, create whole foods from scratch, have the perfect house, look perfect, also look after our parents. I could go on and on. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a really big journey in learning that I am not my career, I am not my busyness, that the most important thing is for me to be healthy and happy and be connected with the people I love. So that's what I've had to learn.
So when you were sitting on the couch, what was the first thing that I guess you decided to focus on? You were doing all this reading, this researching. What was kind of coming up going, this is actually what I have to do first?
Great question. I realised that I'd been tinkering around the edges of this stuff and nothing had really worked. Nothing was sticking. Like, I was going to yoga. I was having the green smoothie. Like, come on. It wasn't that bad. That's what my voice was telling me. But then when I got really honest with myself, I realised, no, that was just more of the outward appearance that I was chasing. It wasn't making any difference inside. So I started to really look at who I thought I was. And that really, the answer was, I thought I was my job. I thought I was busyness. I thought I was successful, because the most important thing to me at that time was, important's probably not the right word. I loved it when people said to me, I don't know how you do it, Amy. When they heard about my life and they'd hear that I'd be up at 3:30 in the morning, I'd be doing this and I'd be interviewing the Prime Minister, and then I'd pick up my kids and then I'd go to yoga and I'd do all of this and I'd have a blog. And I loved that people said, I don't know how you do it. There was a really big part of me that felt like that meant I was succeeding. And I had to really turn that off, and still struggle sometimes, still struggle. You know, walk down the street and see working mothers just doing so much, and there's a part of me think that, especially if I'm not mindful, there's a part of me that says, oh, you're so lazy compared to them now. Look what you did today. So it's a really, really big challenge for us as women, is to be okay with this season in our life. Right now, this is the way my life looks because I have 3 children and I need to look after myself. I have thyroid disease. I have creative goals that I would love to pursue. I'm writing another book. So this is what my life looks like. And that means that I can't do everything.
So you're there on the couch, and it's a real, I love what you talk about in the book. You are someone who does the work. I mean, you're obviously an achiever. I do now, yes. So I guess the catch must have made some kind of decision that I've got to do some work on this part of it.
It was meditation. It was 100% meditation.
Wow.
was what I was missing, and what has been the catalyst for all of this. Because when we learn how to meditate, we learn how to stop that voice that's telling us, I can't slow down, I have to keep going. We learn how to focus on one thing at a time, which is what we are incapable of doing at the moment because we've got so many things going at us all of the time. Also, once I got quiet and sat there, that's when all of this knowledge came up of, wow, I just don't value being a mother. I just don't value all these, I don't value being a wife. There was a very big part of me, that feminist part of me, that was, you know, I'm not here to do your washing, mate. And so I had to really sit with that. And that all comes from the space of meditation. That's what it was for me.
So when you now would say to someone, you know, a great idea for you would be to start meditating, what do you hear most people say back to you?
First is I don't have time and I can't do it. I've tried and I can't stop my thoughts. I just think about the shopping list within 3 seconds.
I can't even go to the toilet by myself. How am I possibly going to find a time to meditate? So first of all, what do you view meditation as?
Meditation is simply the act of focusing on one thing and returning your focus back to that one thing over and over again. The biggest myth about meditation I've found is that you sit there and there will be nothing. And so when you sit there and within a millisecond you're thinking about that email, then you think, oh, I can't do it, and so you give up.
I'm no good at it.
I'm no good at it. There's a fail or a pass that we're looking for. It's not. The biggest benefit is that, okay, so here's a great example from motherhood. The only time now I get really cranky at my kids, I might lose my temper or snap or whatever, is when I'm not being mindful, I'm not focusing on one thing at a time. So, for example, I'll be at my kitchen bench, which is right here, and cooking a dinner, my phone's open, I'm also checking whether that email arrived, I have 3 things on the stove and the kids in the background are fighting about whatever. And then the youngest will come up to me and tap me on the leg like, Mum, Mum, Mum. And you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the best examples I give to mums, because everyone's had one of those moments where you snap and you say things you don't want to say. You don't want to be this angry, overwhelmed person. What's happening in that moment is that your mind is so stretched and loud and noisy and overwhelmed that the tiniest little thing will tip you over. By practicing meditation and mindfulness in that moment, so you can be mindful as you cook dinner, you're just focusing on what's in front of you. You close your phone. You don't do anything else. You bring yourself back to this. You think, oh, I should really... Sorry about the rubbish truck in the yard.
Oh, it's live. Anything can happen. We could get a beep delivery or something.
You focus on, it sounds like this Zen teaching. It's not. It's just focusing on what you're doing. Multitasking doesn't work. It doesn't work. It makes us angry and distracted, and we don't finish things properly. So one of the things that I teach and mamas love over the years is this simple little sentence. It's called a mantra, but if you've never heard of that before, don't be scared. It's just a sentence you repeat to yourself to allow yourself to focus in. And the sentence is, only this in this moment.
Oh, wow.
Only this in this moment. I know, it makes you breathe.
It's like this sense of relief.
Oh, that is such a good way to describe it. It is a relief. So when you're frustrated with your kids or something's happening, it's just this, only this in this moment. Just put his shoes on. Just put the shoes on. Like that, it brings you back. And before I started all of this, I thought mindfulness and meditation was something I needed to go do this weekend retreat about and understand these yoga positions, and it's not. It's just that ability to stop the noise and just only this in this moment. And what that does for your nervous system is just allows it to get out of that fight or flight, that panicked state that so many of us live. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we're just in this panicked state. And it just allows us to switch that off, be in the moment, and deal with what we need to do right now. It's just life-changing.
That panic state can't be a good state to live your life in, as you know, and then it gives us signs when it's kind of, reaching the level of that's enough, and often those signs we ignore because we've got to keep going because we're so busy, and then it's your body does something, it could be little things, and then it can often be things that are really big.
The thing is, the fight or flight response is brilliant. We're meant to have it. But evolutionary speaking, we're only meant to have it when there's a bear at the cave. Maybe once a month, let's hope. This is not something we need every day. It's a survival instinct when we're in danger. But we all live with that switched on every day because our body and our brain doesn't know the difference between an urgent email and a bear. It's still the same physical response, and we're living like that. That's why we're so unwell, as you know.
So when you're there at the stove and you find you're repeating that beautiful mantra, can you remind everyone of the...
Only this in this moment.
Only this in this moment. Oh, so beautiful. Is that something for you that took practice? Because I think we can hear amazing things like this, go, yes, I'm going to do that, and then a week later go, oh, I didn't do that amazing mantra, and then just totally forget about it. How do you what does it take to actually start doing? What do you do?
Yes, it took me a long time to actually live this, but it's like exercise. It's a muscle we have to start using every day, and often at the beginning it's something you think about afterwards. God, should have done that mantra Amy talks about, and so, which is totally okay. It's what that is it's the first step. It's the awareness that I could have done something different that time, and that's almost the first way of going into it. So I've taught this to so many mamas, as I said, and it really is that pattern where they're like, wow, that'd be really great, I should really use that, and then, oh God, I didn't use that yesterday and I yelled, and there might be a few more, oh, I forgot to use it, and then they'll catch themselves a bit earlier and a bit earlier and a bit earlier. But the thing with daily meditation, and I know that's really overwhelming for a lot of women, but you start with 2-minute moves, I start with a 3-minute meditation. That's what I teach. And the thing with that is that by doing that 3 minutes in a quiet time, when you're not in total fight or flight, it's like starting to train your muscles. So when you need to pick up something heavy, the muscle's there. So it's the same with a morning meditation, or a little, even if it's just in the shower, you're just conscious of your breath and your thoughts, only this in this moment.
It's a great place to do it.
It is. How many of you have had a shower and you're not even in the shower? You're already at work, or you were at that barbecue yesterday.
I'm always writing things on. Right, this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, I love that. I love your energy.
Goal for the day.
Well, okay, so here's your homework.
Okay.
Start first with just connecting with your breath and just actually feeling your body in the shower with the water. Like, just be here. Just literally for 10 breaths, because that's just that little muscle that you'll have there for when it does get really overwhelming and busy. So it's, to make this stick, it's a 2-part process, I guess. You have to catch it in the moment. That's actually quite hard. You have to practice it when it's not crazy, so you can catch it in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be 20 minutes in the on position in the mornings. That's the biggest thing that I think is really important to be clear about. It can be in the shower.
So what's the big difference that you see now, having done all that practice and continuing to do that practice, compared to back then on the couch trying to, keep this little baby in, to now, sitting here having spoken to, like you say, thousands of women, written a book, writing. Your writing is so beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
What do you see the difference in, first of all, yourself?
It actually makes me a bit teary. I am 100% different. Yeah. I am a very, very different person. I am so much kinder to be around. I don't have such a fiery temper. I don't lose my cool. I am so much kinder to myself. I used to be, so it does make me teary, because it's such, you have no idea how much this can change your life. I am so much kinder to myself. I used to be horrible to myself, really horrible, as we all are. I've coached so many women, and when I ask them to tell me what does that voice say, and they say it out loud, they're shocked, like, wow, that's actually what I tell myself all day. That's not there anymore, Lizzie. It's just not. It's taken years, but occasionally it'll pop in, like really occasionally, and it just slides away. It's like this cloud passing. I don't even hear it anymore. I'm a better mum, I'm a better friend, I'm a better sister, I'm a better daughter. Everyone in my life would agree that it's completely changed who I am. Not at the core, of course, I've always been this person, but I lost that. I really lost who I was in this chase of life and a career and a person I thought I needed to be.
And what about in your work?
Oh, that's completely changed. So I did return to the ABC after my son was born for financial reasons, and also because I had maternity leave support. The ABC were phenomenal with suddenly I just disappeared overnight in the middle of a federal election. Messages from the hospital. Don't think I can come in tomorrow. I'm so sorry I can't come in tomorrow. I'm having my baby. So I did another year at the ABC and then I left. So now I am at home writing, connecting with women all over the world. I do yoga and I do exercise pretty much every day, but it's a different energy that I bring to it. It's not this chasing something. It's listening to my body, and I actually really love it. And some days I sit outside and read a book. Some days I still have my thyroid disease, and it is very much my barometer. I've learned how to listen to it now. I've had it for nearly 11 years, so I finally know how to listen to it, and I can tell when I've pushed myself too far again, and I just have to stop, which is exceptionally frustrating for an ambitious person like me, but it is a great gift. It's teaching me a lot.
Well, you certainly learned a lot.
You
have. And you have written about it in the beautiful Happy Mama book. And there's an amazing, there's so many beautiful, amazing things. I'm just wondering if, before you take us through one of your meditations, if you don't mind doing that.
I'd love to.
Could you give a little read of this has it been a while since you've read out?
No, I was just thinking, my glasses.
Glasses. Oh,
that's all right. We'll give it a try.
Forget about you people who need glasses. You people. Do you want to run and get them?
No, all good.
You
give it a try.
Okay.
You just have to laugh at me and I have to keep it.
Sorry about the glasses. When you write about motherhood is our greatest teacher.
Sure.
What's that bit there?
Motherhood is our greatest teacher. The shame and guilt I felt after Scarlett's birth, which is my first child's birth, was my spiritual labour. It was the pain of my soul cracking open and the disintegration of every single belief I had about myself. I thought that if I tried hard enough, studied more, and asked the right people the right questions, I would be the perfect mother. I thought there was such a thing as a perfect mother. And my darkest hour came when I realised that absolutely none of that was true, and all I could do was surrender. From that darkness came light. Just as those final centimetres of dilation are the most painful before we are ready to push our baby into the world, so too are our own births as mothers. Just as in labour, the more you fear it, the harder and longer it will be. We are being born. We are giving birth to a woman who is stronger, more empathetic, more spiritual and more connected than she's ever been before. And she is magnificent.
So beautiful. That word surrender.
That's what it is, isn't it? That's what we have to learn. Yeah, that we can't control it. We can't control this thing called life. And the more we try to, the more pain we bring to ourselves.
Because it can feel so hard to surrender when you are wanting to do a lot and give a lot and achieve a lot. And I think that's why your message about meditation is this wonderful one, that it is actually really possible to make it a part of your life. And when you talk to women who have started meditating and being more mindful, what do they tell you that has happened to them?
It's exactly the same as my own experience. The biggest thing I think, which, just brings tears to my eyes over and over again, is that they're the mother they wanted to be.
Oh, wow.
They're finally the mother they wanted to be. They can see in themselves all these things that they were saying and doing that's not who they want to be, but they're so stretched to the absolute extreme that these reactions would come out of them that they never wanted to. Someone said to me just last week, I never knew rage until I became a mother.
That was me too.
I never knew these words and this reaction could come out of me. And it just breaks my heart because we think that means it's our fault. We think we're a bad person. We're ashamed of that reaction. Oh my God, it's just a normal human reaction to a very, very extreme situation. And we don't acknowledge that we're living in an extreme situation most of the day. Unless we do something like this. I mean, the thing is also that's really important to say is that your meditation might be baking. It might be exercising. It might be gardening. It might be colouring, knitting, sewing. I've had women who say, I can't sit on a meditation cushion, but if I go for a walk at sunrise every morning, like no headphones, no nothing, I just get in this rhythm of my footsteps and my breath. And I'm like, great, that's your meditation. You just got to find something that allows this nervous system to just, and from there, that's where all the growth comes.
And I guess that connection to yourself as well that meditation and mindfulness brings.
Yeah. A great deal of women have told me, I just don't know who I am anymore. And I felt that too. And that's also really heartbreaking. Most of us don't feel like we know who we are or how we even got here. Like, how did this turn out to be my life? That kind of thing. Yeah. But to finish on a positive note, I do actually think that things are changing. I think there's some really beautiful conversations happening about being a woman at the moment. I think we're starting to be really honest about what's required of us every day, and that it's not okay to put all this pressure on ourselves. I think that nothing's changing yet, but I think the conversations are starting to happen. And I think that's really exciting and important.
And tell us about the platforms that you have for that conversation.
So happymama.com.au, which has got all the articles. So as a journalist, my favourite thing to do is to find all the experts and interview them, including Lizzie. I think that's the thing that I can do. I can bridge the gap, I guess, between the mothers and the gurus, and get in there and ask them the questions that I know the mums want to know. So, and also then make it simple, because for years I was interviewing these phenomenal authors and yogis and meditation teachers, and I'd ask them what I should be doing every day, and it wasn't realistic. I couldn't get up at 4 a.m. and do a 90-minute, chant to the sun. I couldn't do that. I hadn't slept in 10 years. So, So what I do on Happy Mama is try and bring in all those experts and authors and all the knowledge I can find and make it accessible for women. So that's through articles, my podcast, social media, and my programs and meditations and all that stuff.
I love that it is so doable, because that is what you need to hear as a mum, rather than I'll just wait until my kids are older, I'll wait until I've got more time, I'll wait until I'm getting more sleep.
Yes.
The idea of a little thing like what you're going to show us now, how that can really be made a part of your real world.
Yes. Yes. So what I thought I'd share is...
I'm usually the one doing the thing, so it's not that you're doing the thing.
So... we're going to do a little meditation, but at the end of it, I'm going to share with you a technique that you can then use in your life when you're feeling really overwhelmed. Now, this is a bit like the only this in this moment. This is a mantra that I'll share with you at the end. And when I do, we're going to be doing this with our hands. I'll show you. We're just tapping each finger with our thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This really switches your brain to focus on the now. When you're engaging your body this way, with your exercise, it allows the brain to just go, okay, so this is what we're focusing on. This is something that you can use in your day, all day. Mamas have now taught this to their children, and they do it together. So I wanted to do a brief meditation, and then at the end, when you've still got your eyes closed, share this with you so you can then use it in your life. Sound good?
Sound good.
So if you can, put both feet on the ground, because it helps ground you and just centers your body. But if you can't, that's all good. Once again, if you can, close your eyes. If you can't, when you're watching the replay or joining us live, I like to describe it as in go inside. So rather than focusing on what's around you, you can keep your eyes open, but just sort of focus inside instead. So, as always, we start with our breath, just by breathing in through your nose and breathing out. Just focusing on the cold air moving in through your nostrils and the warm air going out. Noticing the flow of it in and out. Letting your mind just become still for a moment. There is nowhere else you need to be, and there is nothing else you need to be doing right now. Just focus on your breath. Cold air in warm air out. Notice your shoulders dropping down your back. So many of us carry the responsibility and stress of life in our shoulders. It's like we have the world on our shoulders. So just for a few moments, let that go. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, feel it drop off your shoulders and let them sink down your back. You do not have to carry anything. You can let it go. Let go of the idea of perfect. Let go of the idea that you have to prove yourself. And just feel the tension float away. In every moment, you can choose to let go. To let go of the stress, the worry, and be in the moment. Taking your right hand now and getting ready to tap each finger with your thumb with each of these words. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Just silently repeating this to yourself. Peace begins with me. Let those words just sink into your mind. This is a beautiful mantra to use to remind yourself that you have a choice in any moment. Peace begins with you. You can stop to breathe. You can stop and focus on what you need to focus on. Let your shoulders drop down. Let your breath move through you. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. I use this with my kids all the time. When I'm feeling that sense of anxiety and rushing and busyness build up in my body, when I am super frustrated with the sibling rivalry, big deep breath. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And it's like a reset button, allowing you to remember that you have a choice in how you react and how you deal with everything life is asking you to deal with. You are kind, you are amazing, and you're doing the best you can. Opening your eyes when you're ready.
Yeah. So beautiful. You are kind, you're amazing, feel so much better than you idiot, you got that wrong, I can't believe you did that. Just that constant beating ourselves up and letting go of, like you say, that perfection.
And the judgment of yourself. So as you can see, if you just first connect with your breath and then start telling yourself what you most need to hear, and just it's empowering yourself to react differently in certain situations. So peace begins with me is just this little, it's this proven technique of tapping to sort of bring yourself back into this moment and remind yourself that you have a choice, you have the power to react in the way you want to. And yeah, just these little things that we can do through the day, like you do with your moves, while you clean your teeth, you can do something. While you clean your teeth, you can also work on your mind and say, I forgive myself today. I did the best I could, whatever it is, but train yourself to be kinder.
Didn't I tell you she was a well of wisdom? I just couldn't wait to hear what comes out of
on a roll.
your. I love the role is a role that we want to be on. Yeah, and no, really do try that one. I'm totally going to do it. I can think of a few more. Peace begins with me. I can think I love my body, like lots of other different ones to change around.
And it's so good to teach our children these things. So many mothers I know do this with their kids now when it's all getting too tense or fighting or whatever. Peace begins with me, the big breath. I mean, if I had learned that stuff when I was little, wow.
Yeah, well, you've learned it all now, and we are reaping the benefits of that. Amy, thank you so much for all of that, for sharing that with us, for sharing your story, your lessons learned, and the things that we can all do now that really do make a big difference to the way that we feel and the way that we live this one precious life of ours. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Lizzie.
All right. Well, we will see you for another episode of 2 Minute Moves TV very, very soon. But yeah, in the meantime, keep remembering to take care of who Amy says in her book, the number one person, which is actually you, which can feel very, very hard to say and to feel. But when you actually do think about it, it is incredibly true. And we really all do need to be putting our oxygen mask on first before assisting others, just like you say in your book, in your blogs, your podcasts, your magazines, your courses, your everything. So we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.